Alright, hi Sagittarius. Welcome to this week's reading. The deck that I'm using this week is called the Bianco Nero Tarot. We had a lot of jumpers just right off the bat. Let me actually turn down the light just a smidge. There we go. Okay. So this deck is actually really cool because of the black and white motif that it has. So I thought it would actually be a really good idea to use this deck this on the week leading up to Halloween. Interesting. Let me just see if hold on, I'm just gonna turn this one down just a little bit more. There we go. Now you can really see the cards. Okay. So, just as your overall energy, you have the Seven of Pentacles. Seven of Pentacles in reverse, which sort of tells me that you feel that all the stuff that you've been working for hasn't necessarily been giving you the fruits that you would have liked to have received from them. I feel like you're at a point where you've definitely put in a lot of work into a situation, but it's like it just needs more and more and more work. And maybe a lot of you are approaching deadlines, or the situation has long since been done and it's just like it still needs more work. And it's like, why aren't I getting what I was promised kind of energy. So it's weird because like the Empress, I feel, is absolutely you and how other people see you. So it's weird that you're feeling with this overall energy like you're not getting either what you deserve or what you've been working towards, because it looks like to other people it looks like to other people that you are the full package. So that to me is interesting. And with the Eight of Swords and the Five of Swords, I think that it could be that you're feeling that the fruits of your labors have sort of been like messed up by these like arguments that have been going on. And I feel like you're at a point where you feel like you can't achieve what you're trying to achieve with this Eight of Swords. But the good news when you see the Eight of Swords is that you can always get out of it. It's the Eight of Swords talks about a lot of the times a situation that's been thrust upon you, but that you are sort of interpreting the wrong way. Not necessarily the wrong way, but like you're interpreting that the situation is much more difficult to get out of than it might be. So you might like actually start trying to do something or whatever it is that you need to do to get out of that situation, and then you're pleasantly surprised by how easy it was. And you're like, oh, I wish I had just done that before. And I feel like for some of you, it could be starting a project. So like there's a project that's like overwhelmingly, or I guess like not overwhelmingly, but there's a project that seems really big, right? And really hard to do or whatever. But you got to keep in mind that the way to eat an elephant is one bite at a time. So definitely, I've seen with the Page of Wands and the King of Wands, those talk about fire signs, right? So they talk about Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius, like yourselves. So I'm definitely seeing that there's an evolution here. Perhaps you're at this stage where you're at the Page of Wands, but then you jump straight to the King of Wands, right? The Page is someone who's just now like starting their journey. They're young, they're a little naive, they're a little immature. But then the King of Wands has grown much older. He's much more mature. He knows how the world works and the best way to sort of plan accordingly. Whereas the Page might say something like, oh, we can do this in a day or a 2-day trip. The King of Wands might say, no, it's best if we stop to rest and replenish supplies. in like the context of a journey, let's say. And I think whatever it is, there's definitely something that you're sort of tempering here, because the Temperance is your card of Sagittarius, but I'm getting more so that it's like you're playing damage control this week, I feel. With this Five of Swords and the Seven of Pentacles in reverse, and with this Five of Cups, and to a lesser extent the Hermit, I feel like you're kind of playing damage control, because there's something here that is like getting in the way of your fruits and labors. And with like this Five of Cups and this Seven of Cups, there's definitely something good here too, I feel. Five of Cups talks about a situation where Three of Cups are spilled over, but hey, look on the bright side, you still have two. And I feel like for some of you that might be like kind of like a kick in the teeth right now to say, hey, look on the bright side. But like, I do genuinely feel that like, you know, there's some good things here, even if they may not completely outweigh the bad. It's always nice to sort of count your blessings. But like I said, with this Temperance card, I definitely see that you're playing damage control, and that you're trying to sort of mitigate whatever it is that is going wrongly in your life. And it's interesting to me to see that this Temperance and that the King of Wands are sort of looking straight at each other. It's almost like they're sort of like business partners, and they're like, okay, so X, Y, and Z is going down. How do we respond to this? And then the other person responds, oh, okay, plan A. And then the other person is, well, that doesn't account for the Y and Z part, so let's do this instead. And they're like, okay, let's do that. So I feel like you're going in your head a lot. You're sort of going back and forth on how and why you should do things the way that you're doing them. The only card that I feel like doesn't really fit in is this Page of Cups. So I'm guessing, I'm like feeling that that might be a completely different situation. So I feel like for some of you, you might be having love come in, or like someone offer something, and you're like, no, I can't right now. I'm just like, I got this huge mess. Like, it's like, so I'm getting almost sort of like a sitcom kind of a thing, where it's like somebody walks up to your door, knocks on the door, and they have like the flowers and the chocolates, and then you open the door and you're like, what's wrong? And then you're like, hair's in a mess, and everything's like going crazy inside. There's kids running, and then the person comes up and is like, is that smoke? And then you're like, yeah, my kid set the kitchen on fire. And you're like, ah. But I just feel like this week, you guys, if there's a love offer coming in, you might just not be in the same energy for a lot of you. So I'm feeling that some of you might like ghost them this week, or just be like, hey, sorry, this, that, and the other, I can't this week. My advice would be to just like, because like obviously it depends on the person. So get a feel for their personality. If they're the kind of person that would like up and leave because you're like, hey, next week or whatever, then I don't know if you're interested in that to begin with, but I mean, it's all up to you. I'm guessing that like the best thing to do with this, if you get a love offer this week, ideally you wouldn't be like super busy or like dealing with whatever this is, but if you're preoccupied dealing with this, I would definitely say talk to them and be like, can we go for next week, just because I have a lot on my plate this week. And I feel like they'll probably be okay with that. But it's weird because I see this this Hermit card and the Seven of Cups. And the Seven of Cups might actually be related to the person who's the Page of Cups. They might be like thinking about you, but I think that that's mostly you sort of going back and forth on the different outcomes. And the fact that it's sort of paired with this Hermit makes me think that this week you're definitely going in and you're definitely sort of like going through all the possible solutions and all the possible like interpretations of the problem. But like whatever is going on, I'm definitely seeing that you're very much mitigating or whatever is going on. Like if it was a stage 5 hurricane or something, you've like by the time it gets to your house with all the preparation you've done, it's like a strong breeze. So that's your reading for this week, Sagittarius. If you enjoyed, please consider leaving a like or a comment. It really helps out the channel, and I'd love to know if the reading resonated for you. Please subscribe and stay tuned next week for your next weekly reading. I hope to see you there.